Hello and welcome to another edition of The Right Way to HSA. Today I am delighted to invite and have the presence of Anurag, who has been an expert and analyst on small, mid-sized business for a very long period of time. He's also a founder. But before that, my name is Neeraj Mathur. I'm the founder and CEO of Savings Oak, and we are building the retirement savings platform for small and mid-sized businesses. Hello, Anurag. Welcome to The Right Way to HSA. Can we start with a little introduction about yourself and what you've been up to?
Absolutely, Neeraj. It's an honor to be here with you. So, as you said, TechIsle. I'm the founder of TechIsle, which is a global SMB mid-market and channel IT market research and analyst organization, which is focused on actually simplifying, expanding, and growing the end clients' market share in three of the most complex market segments. They are the SMBs, mid-market, and channel partners. And I've been the founder and chief global analyst at TechIsle, and I have been in this business for over 30 years or so.
Awesome. Well, we're so honored to have you talk about our target segments, and particularly more interested in learning from you, given your vast experience interacting with small, mid-sized businesses, as to what you hear. There's just a lot going on in the economy, and we are talking about Great Resignation and all these other things. Retirement also comes into picture, and benefits are also a part of the conversation. When you are talking to SMBs, what are some of the things that you are hearing from them in terms of the trends around benefits, healthcare plans, or generally what are the top concerns for the SMB leadership right now?
Sure. So, if we look at the SMBs, and our data is actually based on the information that we collect based on the studies that we do with the SMB segment. So there are 5 different areas which have bubbled to the top, specifically around healthcare plans and retirement savings. Number one is the reduce the healthcare costs. Number two is enhance coverage. Number three is attract and retain employees. Number four is drive productivity of the employees and the organization. And number fifth is competitiveness. Now, healthcare costs are increasing for these SMB owners. And despite the best efforts and plans, in-house HR or partners are unable to drive the appropriate adoption level, right? We are also seeing that 63% of the SMBs have accelerated their digital transformation journey. And the employee is a critical component, is a critical spoke of digital transformation and driving innovation. So in a way, it is driving tremendous amount of challenge for the SMB leadership, which is trying to understand and engage in driving the relevant employee benefits and the ROI of pushing that digital transformation agenda.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's actually it aligns with some of the conversations we are having regularly with SMB leadership about driving the costs down, not just from a standpoint of overall cost of benefits and whatnot, particularly around healthcare. They've been looking at 20-30% year over year cost increase. So when you talk to the CFOs, CEOs of SMBs, and they're talking about these top 4 or 5 issues for them, what are some ways that they have tried or they're discussing with you about, or coming to you to consult about how they are thinking about making it better for their employees and still be able to match the cost, the benefit from a retention, and making sure the utilization is there?
One of the most important things is, when you talk about how the SMBs are actually being challenged, the SMB owners, is the choice and complexity. There is way too many choices. They don't know who to really engage with. And the complexity of the option is actually driving that decision inertia within the SMB community. So in a way, it is almost extremely challenging, where they are thinking about how to manage their deductibles, their prescription prices, and premiums, and so on and so forth. So the question for these SMB employers is whether to want to absorb the costs or actually pass them on to the employees. And passing the rising cost to the employees is challenging in a very difficult labor market today. And therefore, SMBs continue to shop for providers and brokers and alternatives.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it's actually very interesting. You touched on the complexity not only just in terms of finding the right vendor, but also managing those benefits from a complex standpoint for an employer as well as from a employee standpoint. So that's a great point there. Um, can you share a little more from your perspective as you discuss these opportunities and current environment with the economy being the way it is? How have you personally thought about retirement? And does any of that kind of drive into some of your conversations with the SMB leadership to say, well, have you thought about this, or that?
So, before I answer your question, let me tell you a quick story. When I moved from Hong Kong to the US with IDC, a market research firm, I was told by our office, and I'm talking about way back in early 1990s, I was told by our office manager, the IDC's office manager, to seriously look into 401k, a retirement savings plan. I did not realize the importance of retirement savings until very late. Since then, we have actively participated in retirement savings. It is a must have, but it also depends upon the individual's needs, income level, short term and long term priorities. And what I advise the SMB customers is a good retirement savings plan is only as good as a good advisor.
That's a great point. And so, from an advisor standpoint, are you look at as a financial advisor or somebody who can be a friends, family, or other SMB leadership, SMB CEOs, CFOs, HR managers talking to their peers in the industry?
So, within the SMB organization, we see all of the above, right? Because of the fact that, hey, they have got some, bank accounts. They, some are pretty well off SMB owners as well. They have got financial advisors. So they kind of reach out to the financial advisors. Now, in some cases, the financial advisors may not be very conversant with the latest retirement savings plan, whether it be defined benefit plans or 401k plan or HSA plans or so on and so forth, right? So the more savvy financial advisors actually divert them or kind of pass them on to the right advisor or the consultant. In other cases, the SMBs also look towards their friends and family to kind of get certain advice, or they even look at their medical insurance broker as well to provide them with some advice. So all in all, there is no one single trend that we see, but I go back to the point that it is very important for the SMBs to really identify that one advisor who knows it all, who has done it all, who understands and can put you and the organization in the right bracket to provide the right advice.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great for our audience. That's an amazing thing to think about an advisor, just not as a financial advisor, but be thinking someone who can be an advisor in health benefits and kind of driving some of the adoption as well. One of the interesting things you mentioned up top was around engagement. Retention, engagement, utilization for benefits is very closely linked with each other. You talk to SMBs across the country. They're all reeling with a whole lot of issues around labor. I mean, you referred to it earlier as well. How do you think the Great Resignation, which is in many ways a great reset, giving the SMB employers an opportunity to engage with employees, particularly around benefits or other things? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think let me give you a little bit of a long-winded answer to this question. You probably know better than anyone else that the employer-based health insurance started in 1943 during World War II when there was a talent shortage. I'm not saying that today's economy is similar to that, but what we are seeing is that more than the great resignation, today it is about the great rehire, where SMBs are short in terms of talent. Our latest data actually shows that attracting and retaining employees and improving the employee experience as well as customer experience are the top four priorities, right? And the top four business challenges. And cloud, security, analytics, and customer experience are the top four IT priorities. And we all know that SMBs do not have enough people, specifically within the IT realm, they do not have enough people who understand cloud, security, and analytics. And when the unemployment rate is low, SMBs are the ones that get shortchanged for this new talent. So, in my view, what I think is that SMB's leaders must consider the whole employee experience package, not only just tools and technology, but the entire experience from the time they identify a potential employee to the time they employ that employee till the time that employee remains with that organization. And within that, they should look at the employee benefits, which also includes retirement and savings and HSA type of benefits.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. You touched on HSAs, which is close to our heart anyway. I'm often it's often surprises me. They've been around since 2003, and yet we have very little awareness of health savings accounts. How familiar are you personally with HSAs, and when did you find out about them?
So the honest answer is familiar, yes. Deep down knowledge, no. Awareness, yes. Expert, absolutely not. Right. Again, I think we fall under this same conundrum as to we have been told a lot about 401k, defined benefits plan, and so on and so forth, but hardly anybody ever talks to us or talks to me or has ever spoken to me about HSA. It comes up in the conversations when we talk with the SMB customers because they are becoming very savvy. They do their own research. So most people, most SMBs we talk to only look at 401k for retirement.
Yeah.
Not realizing that HSAs can also be a great vehicle. What I know is that HSA is a savings account that lets an employee set aside money on a pre-tax basis to pay for certain qualified expenses. And above all, there is no expiration date. I mean, it's a trifecta. Lower your taxes because it is pre-tax, pay for health expenses such as copays, deductibles, and other out of pocket as and when they arise, and also save the money for retirement.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and that actually also is very core to what we are doing here at Savings Oak. Is from our standpoint, one of the key things that comes up all the time, and even with your answer, is like investments or the fact that you can take the HSA money and invest it for your long-term retirement purposes. That's one of the best kept open secrets that's out there about HSAs that we talk about here. Cool. Moving. Just slightly away in the realm of retirement, when you think about how as a country, as a society, we've gone through last couple of years, particularly with 2020 COVID happening, are you talking to SMBs where they're looking at their spend on employee benefits a bit differently because prior to COVID, we were all thinking about everyone in the office, 9 different types of water in the fridge and whatnot. What have you seen that has changed, and how do you see that long term actually having an impact on how SMB employers think about benefits?
I think it is one of the number one challenges for the SMB owners, right? Because we have talked about this a lot in the past, in the previous 10 minutes or so, about a tight labor market, right? So the employee benefits and retirement plan does come up a lot, right? And it is becoming one of the important criterion for a vast majority of the employees as well, whether you look at millennials or Gen Zs or Gen Xs or the boomers as well, who are trying to come back into the workforce, right? So it is a challenge. But going back to the point which I made, the choice and complexity is a challenge. And awareness about what type of savings account or retirement account will work best for them. I mean, we come across many different issues. Say, for example, there was a conversation I was having the other day with a group of SMBs who are an LLC, right? And now their CPA is advising them to go to an S corp, right? So, and the conversation is around, hey, with an LLC, I can sock away maximum savings in a 401k. Whereas when I move to an S corp, then I have to create a payroll, and I can only sock away as much as whatever is allowed
Mhm.
as per my payroll. And those are the kind of questions and calculations and things that these SMB owners need to do. They don't have the time, the wherewithals, the capacity, and the expertise to be able to do that. They
Yeah.
need that trusted consultant to be able to kind of guide them. Just because there are certain inherent advantages to move from an LLC to an S corp doesn't mean you got to move there.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
That's your point. Going back to the advisor comes into picture. As we think, you said something very interesting, and we've been doing many of these sessions. I talk to people about retirement, and everybody pretty much, very few, less than maybe 2 or 3% people have said I started in time. You said we started late as well. So for any of our viewers who are listening, what's your advice to them generally, whether an SMB employer, employee, about retirement and how to think about it?
So the way I advise it, and the way we practice it myself and my own organization, is the fact is, hey, if you can afford it, sock away the maximum that you can within your retirement account. Yes, the argument could be, hey, look here, this market is down, my 401k investments are falling short, they are going under the weather, and I am no financial advisor. I'm
Yes,
not giving
I was
any
about to-
financial advice here.
Thank you for
But
saying
what I'm
that.
saying is stop looking at the portfolio, period. You know, just this is your time to kind of sock away as much as you can, both for yourself and for the employees.
Awesome. Great. And thank you for the comment. Yes, usually we say this at the top. The comments here are not financial advice or tax advice. Please speak with your respective authorized people to do that. Cool. Anurag, I just want to take a moment and say thank you so much for coming and sharing your thoughts about retirement in SMBs. And we appreciate you taking the time and talking to us and explaining it. To our viewers, we'll be live again next week at noon with another edition of The Right Way to HSA. If you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, we'll see you next week with another person's perspective on retirement and SMBs. Thank you.
Thank you.